Hello everyone. We are going to begin talking about the reproductive system. Today we will be talking about the male reproductive system anatomy and physiology. Tomorrow the male disorders. And then Friday the female anatomy and physiology. Next week we'll talk about the female disorders, and then we will go into more detail about all of the hormones involved with the menstrual cycle. Prior to our exam next Thursday. So just a reminder, our exam on the reproductive system, male and female, is next Thursday, and it is a test, not a quiz. So today we will begin with the male reproductive system. Most of this you will be able to complete just by looking at this slide presentation, but I just wanted to talk with you about some important pieces before you take your notes. So first things first, just talking reproductive system in general. If you are planning on getting into healthcare, no matter what kind of healthcare you get into, it is very important that one, you are familiar with the anatomy, physiology, and that you are comfortable talking about it with individuals. Countless times as a physical therapist, whether I was in the hospital setting or a home health setting, I had to assist patients with toileting activities of daily living. And so you just need to be comfortable with that aspect, with that piece. And the more comfortable and confident you are discussing those things with your patients, the more comfortable and confident they will be sharing any issues they have with you. So without further ado, we shall begin. So this unit's a little bit tricky because this is the only body system where there are vast differences between the male and the female systems. So it's essentially like learning two body systems back to back. But even though there are vast differences between the male and the female reproductive systems, the main goal is to reproduce, okay? There we are. So the whole purpose of having a reproductive system is to reproduce, is to make babies, is to carry on our species. And the way that that is done is that our gonads, which in the female it's the ovaries, in the male it's the testes, which we've already learned in the endocrine system. We have learned that those produce certain hormones, but what we are going to learn in this unit is not only do they produce hormones, but they also produce gametes, which is the name for the male and female sex cells. So in the male, it's the sperm, and in the female, it's the ovum. And for the process of reproduction to occur, the sperm and the ovum must join together in a process known as fertilization, but it's not done there. The fertilized egg or the zygote then needs to travel and embed into the wall of the uterus, and that is what creates a pregnancy. So we will talk more about that next week when we're talking about the female system, but the whole purpose is to reproduce, so therefore it is very important in the male system especially to not only produce the hormone of testosterone, but to produce sperm, and then also to create semen, which is a fluid to help protect sperm and nourish sperm so that it is able to make its journey through the female reproductive system and all the way to the ovum. So just pointing out the process or the pathway, I guess, that sperm will take from its moment of being created through when it exits the male body, okay? So first off, we have two testes, and they are suspended in this skin sac here known as the scrotum, and there's a reason that they are suspended from the body, that they are not internal, and that is because the temperature of the testes needs to be at a certain level, not too hot, so that that we are able to produce viable sperm. So anywho, there are two testes suspended in one scrotum. Within the testes, there's a bunch of little tubes known as seminiferous tubules. And within those, that is where sperm is created. Once sperm cells are created and they are mature enough, they move from the testes into this little holding sac called the epididymis, and they essentially stay there excuse me, until it is time to be released from the male system through the process of ejaculation. So there are two testes, there are two epididymi, and then there are two of these tubes here called vas deferens. So when we are ready to ejaculate the sperm from the male reproductive system, the male body, they will then leave the epididymis and travel the length of these vas deferens, which is essentially just a tube. Okay, it'll pass around here. Make note of this seminal vesicle here on the back, but it will pass then through this structure here, known as the ejaculatory duct, and the ejaculatory duct will then meet up with this structure, which is the urethra, and that is how it'll exit the body. I said to make note of the seminal vesicles because this whole process up until here, it is simply just sperm traveling. However, we said that the purpose of the male reproductive system is not only to produce sperm, but to produce semen to help nourish and protect sperm and give it what it needs to make that journey through the female reproductive system in order to fertilize that ovum. So the first step in the production of that semen is sperm. Second step here, these seminal vesicles that are on the back side of the vas deferens, they release a secretion that becomes part of semen, and their secretion that they produce helps to nourish and protect the sperm. So as the sperm are passing through the vas deferens here, they will then be received into this secretion, and that is what will pass through here, through the ejaculatory duct. Now this gland here is the prostate gland. Okay? When the sperm is traveling through the prostate gland, it produces and secretes fluid that aids in helping sperm's motility, so its ability to move as it travels through the female system. And then finally, these last glands here, there are two. Sorry, you can't see the whole name, but it's the Bulbo urethral glands. They produce and secrete an alkaline solution, which helps to balance the acidity levels of the vagina so that when the sperm and the semen enter the vagina, it helps the sperm to be able to live in that environment on its pathway through the cervix, uterus, all the way to go find that ova. So just to recap, it's sperm are created in the testes. They're stored in the epididymis. When they are ready to be ejaculated from the body, they travel through the vas deferens. As they approach this point, the seminal vesicles give off a secretion that helps to nourish and protect sperm. As it passes through the prostate gland here, it gives off secretions to help with sperm's motility. And as it passes by the bulbourethral glands here, they give off secretions that help to neutralize the acidity levels of the vagina. And all of those things combined are what make up semen, and that is what gets ejaculated from the body. So, important to note, oftentimes people will mistake and use the words sperm and semen interchangeably like it's the same thing, but they are not the same thing, okay? Semen does contain sperm, but the other important piece of it are the secretions from the different glands. You should be able to complete the remainder of your study guide by flipping through this slide presentation, and then Miss Davidson is going to be there to help answer any questions that you may have. So anywho, please take your notes. You should complete the first 2 pages of your note guides today by looking at this slide presentation, and then we will go over the disorders tomorrow. I hope you have a good day. Bye.